Alright, hello superhero friends, and welcome to Monday slash, I guess it's Tuesday, right? Because we're in the middle of the night. So let me try to see if I can have some like intro music for you guys. So I must apologize, my superhero friends. I'm a little behind schedule. Today was supposed to be a Marvel read, but this read was supposed to be yesterday. So tomorrow we'll have Marvel, and today we're going to do the conclusion to whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. So we're going to, it's not too long of a read, so I'm going to go right into the Alan Moore read tonight, and then we'll complete it. Let's see here. Hello. Hi, Hot Bliss. How's it going? Hey, Voice of One. It has been a hot minute since the late night read. I know I've been live, but not necessarily at this wee magical time. So first of all, before I begin, I just wanted to let you guys know we're in a very spicy time astrologically. So Pluto is in Capricorn for the very last time in all of our lifetimes as of today. I don't know. Hold on. Let me just double check. I'm going to check the stars. I also found this Kickstarter campaign for this live action She-Ra and He-Man movie, which I was like, wow, this looks amazing. I need to get my Indiegogo campaign up for you guys. Freezing, it's no, Pluto isn't real. You know what? Everything is just your perception. So if you think Pluto isn't real, then Pluto is not real. But to me, Pluto is a planet and represents a different archetypal symbolic energy to us in your observation of it. So as I said, if you think the earth is flat, I'll believe you, right? Because it's your universe. It's your perspective. You get to choose what you choose to let into your personal mythos of it. And I think what just needs to happen a little more in our world is just a little bit more forgiveness with each other and a little bit more acceptance of each other's worlds, right? And we can empower each other without, being like, no, well, you need to believe what I believe, right? Where are we? Oh, okay, yeah. I was looking up the chart of the now. Okay. With the moon, right? Regardless if you think the moon's made of cheese, a satellite, is a psyop, or whether or not we went to the moon or not, does not really matter. What matters is, for example, this is a good example. So, oh yeah, I said live action. It was a Kickstarter campaign. I just realized I had it still open here because I love She-Ra, you guys. I love the 80s She-Ra. And hot take from my end, I did not appreciate the new Kevin Smith He-Man. I don't like Tila. What was it? The Secret of the Sword, whatever. I had that comic book back in the day, and I loved He-Man and She-Ra. They remind me of Hercules and Xena. So that whole trope of Superman and Supergirl, right? They're cousins. They're not necessarily they're counterparts to each other, right? So okay, so today, oh wow, what a crazy time astrologically, my friends. So we're still in Scorpio, but we're ingressing into Sagittarius. So this is a really exciting time astrologically, you guys. It's a lot of endings of loops and cycles. Hi, Rick. Hello. Old school was so good. Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I just also like the animation in the old school stuff, I forget. There was a style they called it Hannah, or I'm not going to say it. I can't pronounce it. I blame the fact that I had foreign parents. Okay, so the moon's in Cancer. Very emotional moon, you guys. So if you're feeling very emotional, that's why. Mercury's in Sagittarius, Venus is in Capricorn. Oh yes, so Pluto is 29 degrees Capricorn. Hannah Barbara, thank you, Hot Bliss. Yes, so that style of animation, I think Thundercats was in that style, He-Man and She-Ra, a few others. I have a lot of love for that style of animation. It's just, that's all preference too, right? So even if you think of comic books, I find it, one of my girlfriends, Joanne, the Jetsons. Oh my gosh. Oh, thanks guys. This is my other Supergirl cosplay. So tonight we're doing, okay, so if you guys are new to Hey, Alvin. Hi. So I've also come to realize, hi, Mr. Top Ramen. Oh my gosh, I told my hubby Green Lantern that we're your internet parents, and he's like, yeah, we could sure adopt him. So if Green Lantern and Kara Zor-El, let's say Hal Jordan and Kara Zor-El had a child, what would that child be? The superhero, because I was late. I was actually supposed to be here about an hour ago, but I was watching the first episode of Dune Prophecy. Have you guys seen it? It's about the Bene Gesserit and stuff, and I was actually kind of disappointed. I'm so sad because I love Dune. I have a little snippet of the Dune comic book I'm going to read you guys after this. Hello, Gotten Bleep, Gotten Bitch. Bunny Hugs Podcast, hi. PCJP, hello. So what we're going to do today, actually, I'm going to let you guys in on a brief Astro snippet, and then we're going to go right into the reading. I have Crisis here because there's some context that's required from Crisis on Infinite Earths from 1985 to get, this is Alan Moore's Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Before I get into why I'm reading this, oh my gosh, thank you so much, PCJP. I love that set. It was like some disco house, some funky stuff. My hubby has only been DJing for, I'd say like 3 years. I've been a dancer for a very long time. I think I came out of the womb dancing, but I've trained in Winnipeg in dance and stuff like that for a long time. So when my hubby decided to become a DJ, and I encouraged him to, he's teaching me how to DJ as well. So one day you'll get to see us both DJ together. I love like old school hip hop, like 90s retro kind of stuff. So get ready for that. Because when I grew up in dance class and doing dance class in the 90s, a lot of that old electronic music was like, of course, like safe for kids to dance to because there was like no swearing, and it's all about like move your body, and like it's all love. Yeah, so like it's just like feel good songs, and so I'm all about. I love that, right? Your sound, your frequency. I think Tesla said it, right? If it's all like frequency and vibration, and even light, even color has its own vibration and sound. So when you interweave all these different mediums together, that's how you get a story. So what we have right now, Pluto. Pump up the jam, pump it up. Oh my gosh, yeah. Remember Space Jam? Right? Lola was hot, right? It was like those cartoon characters. I need to do like a top 5 cartoon character. Oh my gosh, that would be hard. Jessica Rabbit, Betty Boop. Oh my gosh, there's so many hottie cartoon characters. We can do Lola. Lola wasn't she a babe? Lola Bunny. Add a little bunny to the end of that. I think I'll make a character with a last name Bunny. There is all this mythology though about white bunnies living on the moon, right? So if you go into Japan, I love Japanese mythology because they have a lot of, I like looking at myths as a whole, like throughout the world, right? Because my dad is South African, my mom's Filipino, and I grew up in the prairies of Manitoba with a very, very Catholic background. So like in terms of story, I like to look at things, and my besties are like from like India and France and stuff like that. So, we are able to all communicate, A, through music and dance, but B, also through just stories and just having common places where stories are, right? So, for example, in Viking culture, they have a mother goddess called Durga, and in Indian culture, they also have a mother goddess called Durga, right? So, if you go way up the lineage, there's like a brown mother goddess in both cultures. So, it's interesting, right? Dance is the universal language. I'm going to uncensor that. I don't know why TikTok censors that. I never understand that. So, chop your body up. Yes, dance is the universal language, but so is music, right? So, when you hear something and you hear it sound harmonic, that doesn't need to be told to you, right? Like, this is harmonic and this is noise. Your ear hears it, right? So, for example, my hubby was teaching me DJing the other night, And you know, a big thing with DJing is when you're bringing in the new track, right? So you have the old track playing, and the song's running down, kind of counting down, and then the new track's going to come in, right? And the key is to sync it, right? And you can, of course, get the computer to do it and like press sync and have those tracks do that for you. But I'm a dancer, so I'm used to like listening for the one, because it's interesting because DJ language and dancer language are similar but not the same, like, right? So in dancer choreography, you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you have like half counts and things like that. But it's still the same. It's still the beat is still there. It's still on the bass line. Now, you don't move to every beat, right? In dance, sometimes you have other instruments that you are counting, but regardless, that same beat is the same. So he was teaching me to bring in the other track, and I was getting so nervous, right? Because I was like waiting for, because you can see when you see music, right? You can see where the inflection points are. So you're like waiting for that point where the basses match at the same time, right? So I'm like waiting, I'm like looking, and because I was so stressed out, I like hit it, and it was too soon. And this is why you hear it in your headphones. You hear the track first to hear if it's synced before you bring it in, so that the rest of like the crowd can hear it, right? So like I heard it, and I was like, what the heck? How did I miss that? And then my hubby, the Libra, I love that, ever so calm. I have a lot of Aries in me, so I get very impatient. So I'm just like, what the heck? How did I miss that? And so he's like, roll it back. Let's do it again. He's like, this time, close your eyes and then hit the button when you feel the one come in. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop looking at the waveforms and all the sound that's stressing me out, and then like feel it and get it. And then I got it. And so like, there we go. So that story is just an example in terms of like learning certain skills where it can take a different cue, a different way for you to get it. Like, so when it comes to dance, you guys, I am a true believer everyone can dance. It's just, you know, maybe certain styles, certain movements are better for your body, but just because you can't pick up on someone else's choreography does not mean you can't dance. You know what I mean? Dance is more about synchronization and finding the beat, right? I'm not a big fan of ecstatic dance, which I see a lot of in like Toronto, in like kind of like the new age community. I'm all for everyone moving, but there is a magic to moving in sync. When it comes to your hormones, for example, oxytocin, which is the love and bonding hormone, actually is released when you move in sync with other human beings, right? So if I do this and then you do that and all of us do that together, we are all going to release hormones, and we then we release almost like this invisible thread, right, that transpires over the etheric realm between us, right? And that, I think, in the OA, I forget that the show, I thought it was super cheesy, but there is a truth to it, where the synced movements all together at the right time of the moon all maybe do something. Our ancestors used to do that all the time. Oh, thanks, Cody. I love that. It's a form of healing, 100%. They're called dance lessons because you can learn. You used to dance. Chop your body up. If you used to dance, then you always dance, because time is not linear, right? Once a dancer, always a dancer through infinity. And I do feel like dance and movement is a human birthright, and a way of like your feet being a conduit between heaven and earth. There's many different ways you can do that, but dance is probably one of my favorite ones. Okay, now since I was off on a tangent, hey Pikachu, I drew a Pikachu, Deadpool Pikachu today. I was and all that kind of stuff. I don't have a regalia anymore, that's why. Oh, I'm not familiar. Oh my gosh, I'm not picking up. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the Astro just quickly, because that's Pika. How badly do I need to? No, actually 0, because I try to make sure that I go before I come meet you guys. However, I have whole fun stories of when I used to compete in fitness competitions. You have to do water cut before you go on stage. And that's a whole fun thing when you're trying to drive long distances and you can't find a bathroom. That's not something else. Hey, Star VR. Hi, hi. Okay, so Pluto is 29 degrees Capricorn. Why does that matter? So Pluto, whether or not you agree it's a planet or if it's even there, does have a lot of symbolic meaning attached to it. So, thanks, jalapeno pops. I love eating jalapeno pops. They are delicious. So, Pluto. So so I'm gonna rant for like 2 seconds, and it's not really a rant, it's more just like a clarification. So I do not like the generational terms, right? So like Gen X, Gen Y, Millennial, Gen A, I think is what they call the next one, and then whatever. So like any of those generations, I don't really like them because they're very confusing. And according to those definitions, I'm a millennial, and I'm 1985, so I'm just like, am I like an old millennial? That doesn't make any sense. My lived experience is not the same as someone who was born in 1995, right? And the reason for that is I like to look at generations as more like Pluto. So Pluto, if you think of all the planets in the solar system, right? When we look at our horoscope, when you look at your sun sign, you're looking at the sun and where it was at the moment of your birth. And so when you have your birthday, 99, what am I again? So your Pluto would be in Sagittarius. Okay, so Pluto itself is a generational planet, right? So meaning this, it takes a long time to go around the sun, right? So when you were born under a certain generational sign of Pluto. And I just think that's a little bit more accurate to talking about your generation than talking about like millennial, Gen X, Gen Y, because it's not really your decade. And realistically, those definitions came from some old dude like who wrote a book, which a lot of things come from, right? So we can take this time to expand definitions. You can still use those definitions. But if I'm a millennial, I'm also a Pluto in Scorpio millennial. And Pluto was in Scorpio from 1984 till about 1993. Then Pluto moved into Sagittarius from about like 94, I think till like early 2000s, and then it moved into Capricorn. So it's now currently in Capricorn, and tomorrow, you guys, it's going to move into Pluto. So Pluto is now in Capricorn for the very last time in all of our lifetimes before it moves into Aquarius tomorrow. That is huge. This is like a big turning of the ages moment. We're going to feel an energetic shift. And especially for us who are born with Pluto in Scorpio, Aquarius is a fixed sign, and so is Scorpio. So fixed signs are all going to feel this shift very dramatically. From a perspective of like Pluto represents, so if you think of this like Greek and Roman myth, Pluto is like Hades, right? Lord of the underworld. I think Hades gets misunderstood. Like I love the myth of Persephone and Hades because there's many different ways you can tell that story. One is that Hades abducted Persephone. The other is that Demeter was kind of like an overbearing mom, and Persephone loves Hades. And she stays up on the surface to appease her mother, right? But she loves that Lord of the underworld, right? And Hades, if you think about it, Zeus, if you think about Zeus and Poseidon, like Poseidon representing Neptune, Zeus would be represented by Jupiter, right? So these big Titan energies, let's think of them like energetically. You think of them in your chart as interplaying of energies with you. So Pluto as Hades represents all of the stuff within us, which is like way, way deep, dark down in the shadows. The shadows are nothing to be afraid of, you guys. Like, I was watching Dune Prophecy with my hubby before coming on this live. That's why I was late, because I love Dune. And in Dune, the Bene Gesserit, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but there's like the Butlerian Jihad, There's like, you're not allowed to use thinking machines. So as a result, human beings upgrade, up level in their own consciousness, and specifically the Bene Gesserit learn to hone their endocrine systems, their hormones, to such a degree that it's considered magic. Oh yes, I'm reading to you guys say, yeah. So I just wanted to get you guys in on that because Pluto in Aquarius is going to come with it the age of enlightenment. And if you think about like the age of Aquarius, like, you know, you can think of that musical Hair. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Hamza Tariq, Hades and Persephone is an example of Stockholm Syndrome. I guess on some degree you could consider that. There's a lot of interesting Greek and Roman myths that deal with like abduction and like things where it's like, oh, was this consensual? Oh, well. Or like Zeus being like, I'm going to appear to you in all of my glory and destroy you at the same time. But I think it's important with all these stories, like, to take, okay, there's like the story, but then there's like the symbolic meaning of the story. And then there's the symbolic meaning for you in the story. Okay? So there's a bunch of things. I'm a dreamer, I build worlds. I know, I got that vibe from you, if you're a dancer too, right? So because I love dance, right? Because there's like, words can only go so far. Like in the English language, we have love. And in French, you have like 7 different words for love, right? So, and when I was a global relationship manager, I worked with 137 countries. And you learn that languaging, that's why there's so much more to communication besides the words, right? The how you say the words, frequent, like the vibration. Like even when I'm reading you guys the comic book, sometimes I'll reread it because it'll be the first time I read it, and I'm not doing the right inflection because in comics, oh my gosh, like they're all in capital letters, right? So there's no, like sometimes I'm thinking it's a verb, but it's someone's name, like Orphan. Like there's a superhero named Orphan. I'm like, Orphan something. I'm like, wait a minute, that's someone's name. Let me do that again, right? So it's just been kind of fun to kind of go through all that. A conference. Oh, you guys are so cute. I'm working on it. I'm working on so it's interesting, right? So I consider myself, I'm very woo. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I wrote a book in 1999 about the Dragon Wars. I'm still working on it now, but the boys that I wrote about with my girlfriends back then, they're married to them now or with them now. So like, there's some, I do, I don't know how to wield it yet. Oh, thanks, the hood. But I'm working on it. And I will say that I'm pumped for this upcoming move of Pluto into Aquarius because I personally, in my own birth chart, have Jupiter in Aquarius. So my king of the gods, Zeus, is going to meet up with Hades. And in my own personal chart, I'm hoping they're going to team up together and work together instead of fighting with each other, right? So in you, that's the way I like to think of these energies, where the symbolic representations of them, right? So if you think about Pluto as representing change, transformation, death, rebirth, sex itself, karma, this is all wrapped up in what Pluto represents. And so where Pluto is in Aquarius, it just means that there's going to be an upheaval, a change of things, systems breaking down. But there's such I have hope for it, right? Because it's also just about being aware of, for you to have the new, you need to let go of the old. And like, I get it. I'm a fixed sign, so it's hard to let go. So you're in Aquarius, Hamza, so you're going to feel this move. So Pluto is going to be in Aquarius as of tomorrow for the next 20 years. Now, in comic books, you guys, there's actually prophecy. I went, so I have Grant Morrison's Multiversity, right? And this book that I'm going to read you right now, you guys, is Alan Moore's Superman comic. And it's interesting, right? Because you don't think of Alan Moore as writing Superman, and this was done as a very special favor because at the time of this writing, which I think was 1986, this was supposed to be the last Superman comic. And it's supposed to be like the end of the Silver Age of Superman, right? And it ends with a wink. And there's an interesting opening there for what it means for us to have Superman return, right? And I'll get to that in just a sec. Okay. You are, let me go here. Let's see here. Let me tell you. I don't know if these mean up birthdays signify, but I'm Aquarius. I'm a Gemini. Polina, I have a moon in Gemini, so, and a lot of Gemini friends. And so Geminis are all into reading, writing, comms, all that stuff. So almost, I feel you. Let's see here. Hyper Proxy. I'm a Scorpio. Hello. When was your birthday? Was it recent? We're in the last degrees of Scorpio right now. And Scorpio opposes Taurus, and I'm a Taurus. We vibe with each other. 11:15. Ooh, spicy times. Virgo. Okay, so Virgo's cool, right? I love Freddie Mercury from Queen, right? So I did his chart. I don't know if you guys know this, but the Queen's crest is actually astrological in nature, right? So Freddie Mercury was a Virgo, so Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and so Freddie Mercury, right? It's funny. And the members of his band are represented by sigils in the chart. There's a Cancer crab, there's 2 Leo lions for the 2 Leos in the band, and a phoenix behind it all, right? Representing rebirth and all that good stuff. 3 days ago, happy birthday, Hyper Proxy. And I always say, like, you should celebrate your whole season, right? Because you get to be that very specific lens for the whole house of Scorpio, the way I kind of put it. So I'm also working on an RPG game. That's also why my lives have been all over the place. Holy cow, I didn't realize how much work it was to set up RPG games. I'm setting it up on World Anvil, if you guys are familiar with that. And having it so that your astro interplays with your character sheet, right? So like your dexterity and strengths, I'm altering it slightly to have it fit a bit more like what Astro actually is. And so by playing the RPG game and climbing up Mount Olympus, that's going to be the premise of it, right? Oh my gosh, Hamza, I am on it. I have a few groups that I'm working with right now, producing some shows for them. Like Decriminalized Nature, as well as some Venus Circle stuff. So stay tuned for that. But for now, I'm the only comic book girl around. I've been telling all my friends, like, I'm like, we're in this age of magic, right? And so Alan Moore, it's funny because Alan Moore considers himself a magician, right? And he just released this bumper book of magic quite recently where some of the pages are actually done in graphic novel style. And if you think about it, there's a lot of commonalities between comic books and hieroglyphics, right? Because you are encoding multi-layers of language on it. Let's see here. We're off. Sweet. Okay, so I'm going to reread you guys Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. This is written by Alan Moore and illustrated by Kurt Swan. I like that last name. So it's kind of interesting, right? I love this synergy that happens between the writer and the illustrator of your work, right? And if my girlfriend Tiny Aphrodite asked me on one of our shows once saying, like, wouldn't it be cool if, like, you took the same comic book story and you got a different illustrator for it? I was like, I don't think that would work, because this is like a true collaboration. It's like how Superman himself was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, where Joe Shuster was the illustrator. And if you were to just like have Jerry talk to someone else to illustrate that, you wouldn't end up with what you got, right? It's something special between the two. So this is Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. I need to get some more light. Aziz, more light, to quote The Fifth Element. Hold on, let me bring this up here. So this follows the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and if you're not familiar with Crisis has a special spot in my heart because it came out in 1985, and I was born in 1985. So I have a very strong kinship to Kara Zor-El, and I feel a lot like her because being South African and Filipino and growing up in the prairies, I didn't feel like anyone else till my sister was born, right? I just felt like kind of like, I don't know if I belong here. And also like my dad was a professor in computer science, so I grew up with like all this tech, these computers. I had the internet in like the early 90s. So I felt like an alien. 1983, holla, holla, holla. I love you, my 80s babies. I love you guys. Also, like, all of you soul family people, I know that there's many of you, if this makes sense, this life is something that we chose to live. I hope you guys realize that. It's a beautiful thing. Many of us have just forgotten. You know, like when you're like deep undercover, let's say, or you're playing a game, and you forgot that this is supposed to be fun. I'm here to remind you that this is supposed to be fun. Okay? So, we're going to read you some Alan Moore. I love Alan Moore. And fun fact, I was reading you guys a snippet of Promethea, and at exactly 3:33 a.m., TikTok restricted me. So I was like, woof. Okay. So no more Promethea on lives unless they are special subscriber only lives. So that's coming up this week. I'll be reading Promethea as like more of like an analysis and pieces of it because it's very deep. Alan is obviously encoding other things in it for you. So, and us, all of us, because I realize I love reading. Me and Batgirl, me and Barbara Gordon, we are very similar in sex. I have a very photographic memory. When I was going to school, like I can read, I've read a lot of books, but not everything, right? And so that's why I love these lives with you guys, because you guys always bring up stories and intel, voice of one. I see you. So tomorrow I'm bringing back Jean Grey, and I'm doing the Marvel thing tomorrow, and we're going to look at, because my name when I'm not cosplaying is Rachel, so Rachel Summers is actually Jean Grey's daughter. So we do Jean Grey, Scott Summers, we'll read some of the X-Men, because I couldn't find some of their birthdays before, but you guys helped me out, so I can do that. Oh, no worries, Spider Carnage. I love gaming, so I'm trying to get my gaming stuff up here, but my agency's like, you won't get as much gifts gaming. I'm like, well, that's true. I have a hard time like engaging when I'm in playing the video game because I get really into things, like really into things. So video gaming, gaming in general, like I love going to like live action arcades and rec rooms and stuff. So I just that's just the way I am. Really into it. Yeah, exactly. So I just like to drop the gift and like let you do your thing, Spider Carnage, and like appreciate the gaming. There's also an emulator on PC called retrogames.cz, and you can play a lot of the free games. So I'm gonna hopefully bring back April O'Neil to play some old school Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. How fun. What do I prefer, Jerome? In terms of what do you mean? I can answer the question if you. GTA 6 comes out. Oh my gosh. I'm still playing Halo and replaying Halo again. I'm also playing a game called Tiny Tina's Adventures, which is a Borderlands kind of like related. It's kind of, that movie was awful. I can't believe they did that with it. Anyways, all right, let's go. So this is Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, written by Alan Moore, and the artists are Kurt Swan and George Perez. And George Perez, guess what? Illustrated Crisis on Infinite Earths, and he's also the co-creator to Nightwing, Dick Grayson's Nightwing. I was also watching a YouTube video about like apparently this feud between Alan Moore and Grant Morrison, which I'm just like, how sad is that? Those two wizards need to team up, not like fight with each other. Oh, cute. Tiny Tina's It is a vibe because it's got RPG in it, right? I do feel like there's like almost too much in Tiny Tina's versus Borderlands. Like Borderlands, you're like, oh, I'm a gunner, I'm a siren, I'm that guy who does the animal thing. But in Tiny Tina, it's like you have these potions and you have spells and there's got these other things going on. So I'm on Xbox, by the way. If you guys are on Xbox, add me. Okay. I have a PS3, like an old. Yeah, I have a PS3. It's old, so but I still love it. I still love it. Okay. Let's start, guys, because this intro is probably, I think, considered epic by Alan Moore. This is an imaginary story which may never happen, but then again, may, about a powerful man who came from the sky and did only good. It tells of his twilight, when the great battles were over and the great miracles long since performed, of how his enemies conspired against him, and that final war in the snow-blind wastes beneath the northern lights, of the woman he loved, and of the choice he made between them, and how he broke his most sacred oath, and how finally all the things he had were taken from him, save for one. It ends with a wink. It begins in a quiet Midwestern town. One summer afternoon in the quiet Midwestern future. Away in the big city, people still sometimes glance up, hopefully from the sidewalks, glimpsing a distant speck in the sky. But no, it's only a bird, only a plane. Superman died 10 years ago. This is an imaginary story. Whatever happened? Oh my goodness. I forgot the best part. This is an imaginary story. Aren't they all? Whatever happened to the man of tomorrow? Oh yes, because as I said, this was at the time when it was written and published, thought to be the last Superman story. It wasn't, right? But at the time it could have been. Love that. Okay, so let's begin, and I'm going to hopefully get through this. And I thought it ended with the Supergirl part, but I'm going to go beyond that, right? So I know there's some of you on here that weren't around for the first read-through, so if you want to drop some comments and context, please do. I am open to it. Okay, let's go, guys. Bling blong. Yes? Excuse me, Lois Lane? It's Miss Elliot now. Anyway, come in. You must be Tim Crane from the planet. That's right. Is it still convenient to do the interview with you for our Superman Memorial Edition? Sure. My husband's out at work and the baby's asleep, so we won't be disturbed. Will this room be okay? Oh, yeah. This is a great story, you guys. Fine. Just let me set up my recorder. Okay. Testing. August 16th, 1997. Tim Crane interviewing Lois Lois Elliott for the Daily Planet. Lead feature, title, The Last Days of Superman. Oh yeah. Remember, Superman died. There. I think that should be okay. I feel kind of nervous interviewing you, Miss Elliott. You're sort of a legend around the Daily Planet, and I'm probably doing this all wrong. Oh, you're doing fine. And it's Lois. Oh, thanks for the rose. Oh my gosh, Mr. West. Oh my gosh, like Adam West. Fun. So we're reading the Alan Moore, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, and it's following the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. So just to give you some perspective as to what timeline and where we are in the DC Comics universe. Okay. You're doing fine, and it's Lois. Lois, right. Well, I suppose I should start by asking about the years leading up to Superman's disappearance and presumed death. Were those happy times? Happy? Well, I don't know. They were a mixture of things, like most times. But at least they were quiet. Oh, hey, Ryan. Hello, Ryan Reviews Movies. This is my way of, this is Kara Zor-El reading you a comic book, right? I'm in this too. I'm in this comic book too, actually. Oh, hey, Tiny Aphrodite. I was just talking about you a little bit. Welcome. So we're reading Alan Moore's 1986, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. And actually really like this story. I read this in the bath a couple days ago and cried, so you know. Yes, I was talking about the illustrator. So one of the illustrators to this is actually the same illustrator of Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I was talking about how there's what do you want to call it? A connection, a synergy between the illustrator and the writer, right? So at the time, let's say you're collabing, it's like a special moment in time space. I don't think it would work if you had another illustrator, no different than you had another writer in that as well. I say this as someone who has started to bring back my drawing skills. So it's drawing is it's this whole other spiritual kind of act, I feel like. All right, so let's go, guys. Let's keep going. So Lois is there saying she's doing an interview with Tim Crane, who is from the Daily Planet, and they're doing an interview for a story on the last days leading up to Superman's death. Link, cool, Marvel or DC? I cannot choose. Marvel is actually my first comic books that I read. I will say DC overall, now that I'm older and wiser, I suppose. But I do love them both. I can't really choose. Like chocolate or vanilla. Depends on what I'm feeling at the time. Okay. Let's see here. Were those happy times? Happy? Lois responds. Oh, I don't know. They were a mixture of things, like most times. But at least they were quiet. Luthor seemed to be lying low, and 2 years earlier, Brainiac's last organic metal body had been pounded into a state beyond repair. As I recall, Superman later recovered every fragment except for the creature's head. The Parasite and Terraman had destroyed each other in a lethal clash of egos, and it seemed like there was nobody left to fight. Mostly, Superman worked in space, doing research for the government. Lame. That doesn't sound fun. Yeah, redo and capture the same feel. Yeah, exactly. It's an interesting, I think what we get, because I look at comic books as storyboards to movies. So I feel like when you get different directors or different live actions, you're getting what you're saying, Tiny Aphrodite, that different lens on what that story is and where you can take it. Because, what characters you choose to do and what beats you want to, take. Have I watched the last season of Superman and Lois? I haven't. Don't spoil it for me. I need to catch up on all of that, you guys. Because like whenever anyone talks to me about Lois and Clark shows, I'm thinking of like Terry Hatcher and Dean Cain from back in the day. All right. So Superman mostly works in space doing research for the government. And so Lois is just explaining what things were like prior to Superman disappearing. Yes, Lois is amazing, right? So there's this concept of being like what it was like to be a badass female reporter, right? Like her and April O'Neil, right? So like you're there to find the truth. And I had some thoughts there about like the fact that reporters, right? You're anchoring in storylines. So there's something there in terms of Vittel and how reality works, I feel. Okay. She continues. It was while he was still out in space, returning from such a mission, that we got our first taste of the carnage that was to follow. Dun dun dun. So things get really crazy now. Great Scott. What's happened here? Superman, thank heavens you're back. Yeah, I tried using my signal watch earlier, but I guess you were out of range. But the destruction, what caused it? Was it a bomb or more than a bomb, Superman? It was Bizarro. Bizarro did this? Bizarro? He was completely berserk, smashing things, hurting people, pushing over buildings. It was horrible. He kept laughing. About 20 minutes ago, he retreated into that department store, and he hasn't come out since. Okay, I'm here now. I'll handle it. Bizarro. Incredible. Thank you for the fest burst. Yay, appreciate that. It all goes towards the live fest stuff. Yay. Oh, and Z-Duke. Oh, thanks, guys. And the Astro is related to, I guess, me finally getting around to reading this comic book to you guys. Alan Moore is also the author of Promethea, as well as Swamp Thing. He loves Swamp Thing, right? There's also a crossover with Swamp Thing and Superman in here. We're not going to read that today. We're just going to read the Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, but we'll save some of the rest of this for later on in the week. But thanks you guys for joining me for this fun read. Okay, so Bizarro has, you guys know who Bizarro is, right? Bizarro is Superman. So Bizarro is like what happens with clones, right? So if you clone a Kryptonian, over time, eventually they become Bizarro. It's just a thing. Okay, so he goes in there. Bizarro, come on out and show yourself. I want an explanation for this. Ha! That easy. Oh my gosh, it's so hard for me to talk in Bizarro voice because he talks like backwards, and like even Bizarro Supergirl, right? Because remember, all Kryptonians. Let me see if I have one sec, guys. One sec. We don't have it. Right. I do have quick break though. Quick break because I was watching are you guys aware of like a feud between Grant Morrison and Alan Moore? Because apparently there's a slight feud, but kind of sad, right? Because Grant Morrison has a lot of like cool stuff in his multiversity stuff, but I think Alan Moore like accused him of like, I guess, taking some of his ideas, but like I don't know, I feel like Alan Moore, that's a little short-sighted of a comment, because I think all creative stuff is like is a remix of everything else, right? It's just a level of like the myths and stuff. Like Thor. Thor is from Norse mythology, but you're not going to say he's like plagiarism, you know? So it's about taking these characters and maybe having the appropriate respect for them. Yes, Biker Wolf, Supergirl. Oh, amazing. Thanks, Mr. West. Okay. Without further ado, that was enough tangenting. Let's keep going. I'm gonna keep trying to do Bizarro voice. Ha! That easy. It am part of Genius Bizarro self-improvement plan. Bizarro? See, me suddenly realize that me am not perfect, imperfect duplicate. Maybe me not trying hard enough. Example, when your planet Krypton blow up by accident, you am coming to Earth as baby. So me decide to blow up whole Bizarro world on purpose and come to Earth as adult. The Bizarro world? Blown up? Oh, Hamza, okay. Have a good night. Sweet dreams. Remember, you guys, your dreams have so much more power these days, like astro-wise. Whether or not you believe in it or not, I do. So, sweet dreams, right? And remember, if you ever deal with any nightmares, remember, put on your dream warrior hat. You are so much more powerful than you think. Okay, so me decide to blow up whole Bizarro world on purpose and come to Earth as an adult. The Bizarro world blown up? I guess there's a Bizarro world. That right? Haha! Pretty imperfect, right? And then, Bizarro, what's happened to you? I can't believe you've really destroyed your home world. Ha! That am only beginning. Next, me realize that Superman never kill, so me kill lots of people. Them very grateful, scream with happiness. You killed people? Oh, merciful Rao. But then we finally understand what me need to be perfect imperfect duplicate. It am little blue kryptonite meteor that me carry in lead case for good luck. So, I learned about the different kryptonites, a little education class. So, they all affect the Superman and Kryptonians differently. So, blue kryptonite, I forget what it does to Superman, but it affects Bizarro Superman badly. Like the same way green kryptonite affects Superman is kind of like how blue kryptonite affects Bizarro. So there's other kryptonites as well that do other things, but I didn't know that last time. I was like, what the heck does it matter? Because if you look at like Green Lantern lore, the Green Lantern rings all behave differently too, like based on the emotional spectrum of light, right? So, and then like the blue ring, I think is necessary to, if you don't want to have the red ring anymore, to relinquish yourself of it, you need the blue ring. And like the connections between those different rings. But yeah, so it's cool. It's pretty. I think the blue kryptonite's really pretty. Okay. See, you am alive, Superman. And if me am imperfect, or rather perfect imperfect duplicate, then we or me have to be Bizarro. Oh, everything going dark. Hello, Superman. Hello. Did the blue kryptonite kill you? Yeah, so eventually the blue kryptonite made him go crazy, and then he killed himself. What do I think of the Supergirl series that ended? Are you talking about the CW live action? I didn't watch much of it. I only have seen clips. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of like an animation girl when it comes to things. Like, I like watching, like, when Supergirl got, like, trained by Wonder Woman, right, in Themyscira. I totally butchered the name of that place, but things like that. I like Melissa as Supergirl. I will say that. She's got that, girl next door, I'm your best friend no matter what vibe, which I think Kara embodies a lot of, and big sister vibes, because Kara is supposed to be Cal's older cousin, right? So that kind of vibe, I totally, like, I feel that. So yeah, that's my thoughts of it. And whenever there's any live action of any characters that I love, I always hope that what's done on the screen does it justice, right? And if it doesn't, I don't need to like give it attention. That's all it is, right? But I just hope it is, because Anytime there's any creative work done with these heroes or any kind of like put out there into the ethos, it helps to empower all of our imaginations as a whole, right? In a good way. So yeah, so like it. I like it. Okay, so here we go. Bizarro eventually dies of the blue kryptonite, and it's kind of... I'm married though, you guys. It's our 10-year wedding anniversary next year, because we got married in 2015 in Mexico, actually, in Cozumel, which is where we had our first vacation on. And I have a funny story about that trip as well. The pyramids in Chichen Itza too are in my book, because we visited that in 2012, and there's some fun stuff. Chichen Itza, Quetzalcoatl, dragons, all that fun stuff. Oh, fun! Hey, J-Car! Thank you. But you know what, though? I do have a single younger sister, you guys, who lives out in Vancouver and makes video games. Just saying. She's my Wonder Woman, by the way. Aw, thanks, Sergeant Big Sexy. Appreciate that. I knew, though, I had, if there's anything I have is, like, my intuition is usually right on relationships. Like, I'm kind of like a lifer friend. Like, a lot of my friends I've had for, like, years and years and years. And even as a personal trainer, I'd have clients for, like, 6-7 years. I have clients who, like, have moved out to, like, Miami, but anytime they're in Toronto, I still personal train them. So it's kind of like, it's been fun to kind of develop those I'm a Taurus, though, so I'm kind of like, no one will love you like a Taurus loves you. People think we're twins. She's younger than me, though. She's a genius, though, I call her. She's a freaking genius, because she builds video games. She works for EA, and she works on FIFA. I just finished my Friday the 13th Part 2 review, and now I'm going to read Crisis. Wow, I love that. I have Crisis, Ryan. This one. So this, what I'm reading, follows the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. So, she is not on TikTok. She does not like social media. She's kind of like, she doesn't, so I will have her on, but as a guest, and I've got to figure out how to do that. But I am visiting Winnipeg for Christmas this year, you guys. So I'll be in my hometown. I'm going to do some lives there with my friend Laura Lee and my sister. So she does Wonder Woman, and my friend Laura does like Rogue. So I can do some fun stuff there, and then I can do some collabs with my hubby, who will be holding down the fort here, because, you know, we have some family things to work with, because family matters, right? And all that kind of stuff. I love my little sister. She's the bomb.com. She's a gamer. She actually got me my Xbox Series X for free, because she used to work for Microsoft. She worked for Microsoft for like maybe 2 months, because she couldn't handle. She's like, I couldn't handle working for the devil, Rachel. And then she went to work back for EA. So we took a road trip together in October of 2018, when she lived in Toronto for about like 2 years before moving back to work for EA here. But she worked for Ubisoft here. She worked on Far Cry. Which is kind of funny. She couldn't tell me she worked on Far Cry till after like she left Ubisoft, though. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Like I actually was in an Assassin's Creed commercial too, by the way. Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I'm where like you can barely see me. I didn't even really go, like, my hubby's more in it, in the main thing, but I was there in like the background. Okay, so let's keep going, friends. Thanks for joining me. We're reading Alan Moore's Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. It came out in 1986. And just some context, I love Alan Moore just because he also, just to let you guys know, this guy also wrote Watchmen, V for Vendetta, Swamp Thing, From Hell, right? So there's a lot of other stuff encoded in it, you know, even though he's like a grumpy old wizard man. But, like, you know, those are the best teachers. You guys have to... I feel like, you know, like Yoda. you have like these teachers or these mentors that have, they never answer you right away. Like whenever you, like martial arts, or if you have like a sensei and you're like, you ask a question, they'll always answer you like in a riddle, right? So because true intel is not supposed to come to you easily, it's supposed to be earned. So even in these imaginary stories, right? Through imaginary stories, through these fantastical works are nuggets of truth, of real truth, truth with a capital T, right? All good movies if you watched. Yes. Yes. People said that Zack Snyder's version of Watchmen, Alan Moore didn't like. I liked that version of Watchmen. I was okay with it. I know like they didn't do the giant squid or the pirate story in it as well, but that's all part of looking at mediums, right? So like certain stories, like think of Cats. So Cats the musical, the stage show, is a great show. I love Cats. Then they did Cats the movie, which was nightmare fuel. Because it's not meant for that medium, right? And so it's just taking into consideration that sometimes certain stories or certain aspects of stories are meant for specific mediums, right? There's like video games too. Like video games are like one of those mediums of storytelling that you're like actively engaging with it, right? As well as like you don't open up all the story until you beat certain levels, right? And From Hell. Ooh, Adam. Yeah, I need to revisit that one. Is the movie and the book, are they similar? My go-to is Smallville. I love Smallville, you guys. I do. And I loved Kristen Kruk as Lana Lang. Oh, I love her. She played a Chun-Li in that terrible movie, and I watched it because I love her, and I was like, girl, you are better than this. And they should have done a better movie for Chun-Li. Okay, let's continue. So Bizarro died. Let's move on. She's so cute, and she's still cute, you guys. Like, even at this age, like, I feel maybe I'll get an interview with her. You know what? Wait, you think she'll do it if I like reach out? I think I'll try to get United goals. I'm gonna get Grant Morrison. I'm going to get Alan Moore on this show. And I'm going to get Kristen Kruk. We'll get Tom Welling. And also Michael Rosenbaum. Whoever played Lex Luthor. I thought that he is like my Lex Luthor. Him and Tom Welling, their friendship in Smallville and how that turns into like, you know, bitter enemies. Right? That is like a such a tragic trope, right? Like brothers that become enemies. And so like I feel like it's one of those things in stories that like us in humanity need to try to learn to resolve. Michael Rosenbaum. Yes. Oh yes, Swamp Thing's awesome. I read you guys a comic on here. I'm trying to find the replay of it where Swamp Thing, it's a crossover between Swamp Thing and Constantine. And so I don't know if you guys know this, but Swamp Thing can take over other people's bodies. I don't know, he like goes into you and like takes over your body. So he takes over Constantine's body so that he can impregnate his lady love with the next sprout. And he can only do this with Constantine because for whatever reason, they cosmically balance each other out. I don't know, whatever. They were trying to do a common thing after Smallville. Are they? Huh. Oh, yes. Right? I love that Swamp Thing read too. And I also love that, like, Swamp Thing, like, when they were, like, doing it, he could tell the moment she was pregnant. He's like, it happened. And then she's like, what? But it's because he can tell the hormones, right? And so that's something to consider, right? Like, this whole idea of like we are sending out other signals, like these other hormones, these other vibes and frequencies from our bodies that are not like verbal, that are being caught by other energetic beings in our environment, right? So okay, so let's keep going. I need to hustle. I need to actually get through this story, you guys. Okay. After years of harmless stupidity, that strange, backwards creature had suddenly launched himself on a rampage of genocide, homicide, and then finally suicide. Still, after what came next, Bizarro's death seemed trivial. You're talking about the unmasking. Dun, dun, dun. My Wolfie's right beside me. He's sleeping. So if you hear him snore, let me know. Okay. Yes, I'm talking about the unmasking. Delivery for Mr. Kent. I'm Clark Kent. What is it? 2 parcels delivered outside just now. The big one's real heavy. Clark, we're on the air in 10 minutes. I guess in this version of the Daily Planet, they're on TV. They're like news anchors on TV. No worries. Oh, this won't take a second, Lana. I'll just open the little one and... that's odd. What is it? It's a lot of little Superman action figures. Oh, I've seen those around. They're great. Have you seen how they work? You just press their legs together and... So she presses the legs together and this like laser beam comes out of the eyes and like burns something. And then they're like, it freaks everyone out. So it's like those like creepy toys and like horror movies that end up trying to kill you. Clark, it's moving. They're all moving. Look out. Oh my God. Clark, get down. You're in their line of fire. So all the little Superman toys are flying around and basically zapping people with their laser eyes. And they all come after Clark and zap Clark. They're all turning on Clark. They're slicing him up. This is horrible. You have to let me help him. Lana, it's too late. We can't save him. He's beyond help. Oh my gosh, they restricted my live again because I used a word that I probably shouldn't have used. Oh, come on. All right, that's fine. It's an adult read then. I don't care. Help. Oh, Clark, it was you. All these years, it was you all the time. Ha ha, that's right, Miss Lang. It was him all the time. He just combed his hair and stuck on a pair of glasses. Ha ha ha, what a great gag. Oh, come on, we've toyed with him enough. Clark, Superman, those voices. Oh my goodness. Kenner's DC Toys I saw relaunched back at Walgreens. Well, I guess, Adam, we better make sure that they don't actually, like, fly around and zap anybody. Okay, but let's see here. Yes, I recognize them. The Toy Man and the Prankster. Okay, how did you know that I was Clark Kent? Ha! What a moron. What an imbecile. Why don't you look in the big box and find out? And no fair peeking. It's lead-lined. I guess that's a thing with Superman, right? Like the lead, like he can't see through lead. Is that a thing? I feel like that's a thing. So, lead box, so it's lead-lined, so you can't peek. Everybody stand back. If it's a bomb, I will contain the explosion. All right. Opening now. So it's opening. And... No. Oh, God. It's Pete, isn't it? It's Pete Ross. And he's dead. Right, but not before we dragged your secret identity out of him with a little boffo brainwashing. We planned to work through your friends, starting with the furthest away, but we hit the pay dirt the first time. So they basically tortured this Pete Ross, poor Pete, to get Superman's identity out of him. And so now they've revealed this to everyone. Well, thanks for the rose, Mr. West. And yeah, they were planning on working through his friends anyways. But like, what inspired this kind of behavior? Prankster, Toyman, let me ask you one question. Do you know what radio waves look like? Huh? No. Why? He's going to follow the radio waves, right? So he can see the... Remember I told you about frequency and sound and vibration? I love Marvel that you have a Superman emblem being Marvel. But you know what? There's a whole bunch of stuff there. I'm working on my own Ms. Marvel cosplay. You know, the Ms. Marvel that no one ever got to see before they got to Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. But that's a different universe, my friends, and Marvel is tomorrow. So let's continue on with the read. We're reading Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, written by Alan Moore and illustrated by Kurt Swan with some support from George Perez. I am Supergirl, your host for this reading tonight. Okay, so he's following the radio waves, and he's like, do you know what radio waves look like? And he's like, because I do. And he blasts into where these guys were basically broadcasting their weird little toys to do their weird little things. Okay. They gave in almost immediately, but didn't seem able to tell him why they'd suddenly decided to start murdering his friends. Yeah, because they're kind of being extreme now. When he asked, they just looked dazed and confused. And of course, putting them behind bars didn't mend the senseless damage that they caused. Pete Ross was still dead. And so was Clark Kent. Once publicly revealed, his secret identity was useless. And so he dropped it. So Clark Kent died that day, right? His alter ego, basically, he had to put to bed because everyone now knew that Clark Kent is Superman. I remember after Pete's funeral, he talked to us all about his fears, his worries. I have bad feelings about this. Bizarro, the prankster, the toy man, they were all just nuisances before. What turned them into killers? All these years, my greatest nightmare has been that someone would strike at me through my friends, and now it's coming true. Listen, Bizarro's dead, and the others are behind bars. So, what's there to worry about? I don't know. It isn't rational. It's just, well, if the nuisances from my past are coming back as killers, what happens when the real killers come back? He didn't have to mention any names. We all knew who he was talking about. The big guns. Luthor, Brainiac. What if they came back more vicious than ever before? I thought that Brainiac had been destroyed. So did we. Deet, 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 deet. So now we have Lex Luthor out in, like, I guess Antarctica, looking for Brainiac, basically. And Power Girl will be awesome. I love Power Girl because my little post of, like, the different Supergirl versions, like Power Girl, like Linda Lee, Linda Danvers, Kara Danvers, all of them, like, they're all the same person. And Power Girl is, like, I think from Earth 2. And there's something that I think happens, like, Power Girl and Supergirl are actually, like, besties, and they do play, I think, Nightwing and Flamebird in some regards. I'm doing some stuff on Nightwing and Flamebird in a separate video, so stay tuned for that. Of the absolutes. Yeah, there's a whole thing with, like, Power Girl and Supergirl, like, because they deal with the multiverses, but something happens, like, Power Girl and Supergirl, when they, like, meet, they go a little, I think it's explained here, it causes issues. Don't quote me on that. We'll return to this after the read. Okay. But as we found out later, other people hadn't given up quite so easily. Aha! Deet, deet, deet. Deet, 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 deet. I knew it. I knew you had to be up here someplace. Ha! I feel something. Just a moment. Ah, there you are. To be frank, I've seen you looking better. Not that I'm complaining. I've always wanted to open you up and study that alien technology. Now that you're dead, I've saved the embarrassment of asking. And besides, I think you would have wanted it this way. God, bitch, I don't know let's see here. We haven't seen Martian Manhunter or Brainiac live action yet. Oh, yes, I missed that one. Sorry about that. You know what? That's true. And you know what? I feel like Martian Manhunter gets a bad rap. Not a bad rap. He just doesn't get looked at. And also, like the Manhunters that were like the mechanical Manhunters, there's a whole bunch of stuff with them and Green Lantern and the Guardians that I feel like need to be looked at. Let's see here. Martian Manhunter appears briefly. Adam, when does he appear? Oh, hello. Donnie. I keep on reading that as... Oh, Donnie Donuts. Yeah, I just see donuts. Delicious. For Creature Commandos. Yes. So you guys, if there's... I love mech suits, and I love like kaiju. Big monsters. Thanks. So we are continuing on. I actually read this. I forget when I read this initially, but this is a follow-up to Crisis on Infinite Earths. And if you aren't familiar with the 1985 Crisis, it deals with the fact that there's a whole bunch of worlds, right? Infinite Earths. And this is like a way of cleaning up the universes. So all of the worlds kind of like merge into one. And there are multiple crises, right? I have to still read like Infinite Crisis and the ones after this. But this one specifically has a special place in my heart because it was released in 1985, the year I was born, as well as it's the first comic book I read you guys live on TikTok. And so I'm looping this back around because Alan Moore, you don't really think of Alan Moore as writing Superman comic books, right? He writes like V for Vendetta, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, these more like, people think that Superman's like overpowered and there's no nuance to it, but I think that there is so much more to Superman encoded than we think. Like even this S, right? If you connect it, I have a comic book with Supergirl. I'm going to just grab that quickly. I see Martian and Supergirl, I recall now, remember. Wait a minute. Oh, really? I'm going to go find that. I'll find that clip, my friend. I'm going to compile a lot of things together because it's like connecting the dots of these different renditions, right? Think of it as like comic books as new myth. So just like Venus, the birth of Venus, or even the story of Orpheus and Eurydice, or Eros and Psyche, all of these stories have different renditions and tales, but it doesn't make any of them untrue, right? It's just a matter of connecting dots where they perhaps make sense. 1 second. See, I wanted to grab this quickly before I continued on in the read because it's symbolic meaning. So it's Supergirl in this. I've read this to you guys before. It's Supergirl from Heaven to Earth. In this, Supergirl is overpowered. So there's these enemies that come from the future. We'll revisit this in this comic book coming up. They come from the future to the past to Supergirl because they know that she's going to be the one who destroys them. So they're trying to, it's like a Terminator thing, right? They're trying to preemptively get her before like she gets them. But I'm not going to get into that too much. She goes to China to get a hold of her powers, but I wanted to show you guys this. Right? So this concept of the power within you, the uniqueness of Superman and Supergirl is that their power, their battery comes from our yellow sun, the radiation from our yellow sun. And so if we think of astrology, symbolically, the sun in our chart is the battery, the source of our soul mission, right? So, oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, I'm going to mute you. Okay. All right, so let's continue on. Sasha Calle was awesome as Supergirl. Let me see, which one was that? I'm better with faces than I am names. Oh yes. There wasn't enough of her, I feel like, in that. Also, like, did you guys hear about like the fact there was like a whole Batgirl movie that was made and then wasn't released with Michael Keaton in it as well? Okay, let's continue on with the read. I need to get through this, and it's much later than I thought it would be. Okay. Dun 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 dun. Here we go. So Lex Luthor is out here looking for Brainiac out in like the snow and such. And then he finds it. He finds the head. I mean, back when you were still green with a head full of light bulbs and we were we were always such great buddies. Remember the Brainiac Luthor team? We were what the hell is oh no. Oh my goodness. Perfect. Continuing on. So he thought he had the head. He wanted to experiment on it, right? To like discover the alien tech. But it looks like he's getting a little bit more than he bargained for, right? Brainiac, stop this. I didn't know you were still alive. Brainiac, I am warning you. No. So it looks like Brainiac is kind of like taking over Luthor's brain. I remember us watching this, and I remember reading this, and I skipped ahead, and I was like, what the heck happened to Luthor? And then I forgot about reading this page, so now I'm not forgetting. So this is what's happening. You can see, like, I'll show you. It's just, like, taking over his whole head. No. Slidge. Is that what I say? Oh, that's kind of a... Look at that imagery. So he's basically infusing onto Luthor's... But you know what? These villains, you know, they like team up, but they like always double cross each other and always just trying to use each other. And ultimately, that's kind of like their way of... the hero's way of winning, right? Because the bad guys usually can't work together properly. Greetings, Lex Luthor. Your body, mind, and vocal cords all now belong to me, says Brainiac. Oh my goodness. My tapestry is falling. 1 second. I'm going to pause this. Wait, how do I pause this? I know I have a way of doing this. There it is. 1 sec. All right, we're back. Slight technical difficulty. The world is falling, but we're back. Okay, so we basically have Brainiac, who has taken over Lex Luthor's brain, which is kind of like you get like, it's kind of like karma, basically. Thank you. Thank you for my, it's my whole like tickle trunk of all of my outfits behind me. So, that's not for, that's like the backstage, right? Okay, so, and also Mushroomland is mainly like my tapestry behind me because I have more tales from Mushroomland, I guess. I love Princess Peach, Princess Toadstool, that whole stuff too as well. And they're not called magic mushrooms for no reason. Okay. Greetings, Lex Luthor. Your body, mind, and vocal cords now all belong to me. I welcome you to the new Brainiac Luthor team. Do I know Mr. Dress Up? Yes, I feel like I'm like Mrs. Dress Up, right? If you had to choose between Mr. Dress Up and Mr. Rogers, who would you choose? Mr. Rogers kind of like, I don't know, like that puppet world was kind of creepy. I don't know if you guys remember it. Yeah, I agree. Dress Up was best. Okay, so Brainiac's taken over Luthor's head. By human standards, your brain's superb. Its stored data is massively useful. The Kryptonian has interrupted my programs and caused me indignity. I shall tolerate him no longer. Indeed, right? Oh, yes. This way. So Luthor has been taken over by Brainiac, and now there's the new Brainiac and Luthor team, and except not in the way that Luthor has planned, right? He thought he was gonna like dissect Brainiac and get his way, but Brainiac basically took over Luthor's head. So there we go. Okay, where are we? So he's basically complimenting Luthor for his brain and stored data that he can now use to get back at Superman. So there. So now he got Luthor to put his skull on like a helmet. And then my ship was destroyed by the Superman. Our first priority is to construct a replacement. The materials will only be found in populated areas. Interesting. What does he mean by that? It will only be found in populated areas. Take one step forward. I feel you resisting me. It is useless. I repeat myself. Take one step forward. Very good. Now, another step. And another. And another. And another. And you can see him kind of like walking like a zombie with Brainiac controlling all his motor functions. So it's just kind of like, oh wow. That would be a crazy scene to see, right? Like Lex Luthor and Brainiac. So Brainiac hasn't been done live action though. We've determined that Martian Manhunter has, but no Brainiac. Brainiac's funny though. He's an interesting character. In Crisis, he's not all bad. He just kind of does everything based on like probability of things. Okay. Naturally, we weren't aware of Brainiac's return until much later. Over in Metropolis, however, we had our own problems. I remember it was just a couple of days after Pete's funeral. The day when Superman lost a planet for the second time in his life. Lost a planet? Oh, I guess they mean the Daily Planet. Krypton TV show, but with different. He was, but different. Okay, I get what you mean. Like, but he wasn't like a human computer, right? Or like an organic computer, I guess is what Brainiac's basically. Movies. Oh, thank you. I feel like sometimes when I read comic books, I trigger people with things sometimes. I was watching a thing on Wisecrack, which is on YouTube, where they're talking about the philosophy of Grant Morrison and how he was talking about how, you know, encoded in these stories, right? Because in multiversity, like when you look up at things from a higher eagle eye view, this is what a two-dimensional would look like to like a three-dimensional being. So a higher dimension, we look like a comic book to a higher dimension, which is also like us. So this, like, yeah, anyways. Okay, let's keep going. So the planet, and just to clarify, the Daily Planet, he lost a planet for the second time in his life. We were working in the office. The air conditioning was on the fritz, and the sidewalks outside were hot, thronging with people. According to later reports, certain members of the crowd suddenly stopped dead and looked upwards. It was as if some unseen communication had passed through them and between them. Hey, honey, you look kind of hot and bothered. Could you use a date? Oof. Come on, what's to lose? For $20, I could break your heart. I doubt it. So the frequency or whatever the heck is going on has activated these people to become, like, they're all around, like, they're like, oh, it's like the reverse Superman kind of thing. Flash show has reverse Flash, but not yet movies. I don't think they did the Flash great in movies. I don't feel like Ezra, what's his face, was a great Flash. I feel like Flash, there's so much more to him than being like super fast, right? Flash is the whole reason why we even have the multiverse in DC. So there's a level there. Metallos, yes, exactly, Coco, right? They're all turning, all these regular folk all around the Daily Planet are all turning into metallos because of frequencies and the fact it's really hot. I feel like we have to be aware of things like this in big cities, you know, like different frequencies in the air and just like how they affect us on like a psyche level, right? Okay. By the time we heard the screams from the street, the nightmare was already underway. There must have been hundreds of them. And they all wanted one thing: in. Great Caesar's ghost! What is happening? Chief, the building. It's under attack. We're being boarded by metallos. We're coming, friends of Clark Kent. We're coming to kill you. The way that Kent killed my brother. Prepare to be massacred, for we have no pity, and we have no hearts. There's too many of them. Jimmy, use the watch. I am. You just can't hear it. Nobody can. Except him. So Superman can hear the watch. I guess Jimmy has this watch that can signal, kind of like a bat signal for Superman, that, hey, we're in trouble. So he comes on. He's on his way. Out of my way, kid. It's the woman I want to kill most. The alien-loving tramp. Let me go. Let me go. And then Lois gets pushed out of the Daily Planet window, and she's falling towards the earth. And this is Lois talking as her monologue towards, as her interview, right? In 1997, 10 years after. What happened next had all of the familiarity of a recurring dream. I was falling, and a violet comet was falling alongside me. The reds and the blues ran together, you see, and so that's how he looked when he flew. A violet comet. Hold on, Lois. I don't know how Metallo converted so many humans into creatures like himself, but there's a fast way of containing them. Whatever you say. What are you doing? Rub any iron rod in the same direction for long enough, and you'll align the magnetic poles of the particles, turning it into a magnet. Thanks for the science lesson, Superman. or in this case, a super magnet. He lifted the magnetized globe into the sky above the galaxy building. I remember hoping he hadn't made it strong enough to lift the cars from the street below, but I needn't have worried. He got everything just right. As always, you remind me of Master Chief a little bit here. When he'd gathered up all of the metallos, along with most other metal from the planet offices, he flew the paralyzed cyborgs to St. Teresa Prison Complex. I gather most of them were later successfully rehumanized. So I don't know how they turned into those creatures, but because they were metallic, they were able to be like pulled up by that big magnet that Superman had created. So, yay, but still weird, right? When he returned, he looked as devastated as the planet offices. He insisted taking all his closest friends to the Fortress of Solitude, where he could defend them if the situation continued to worsen. He fetched Lana and Perry White's wife, Alice. Alice and Perry were not quite getting on, and she was very confused and scared. I guess we were all tense. Everything had such an air of finality. They could feel like a foreshadowing of like what's to come, right? Eventually, we were all at the fortress. I hadn't been there for a while, but it was still the same, big and remote and lonely. It wasn't called the Fortress of Solitude for nothing. Shortly, another old friend joined us. Krypto had been roaming the stars for years, but he'd now since returned. Oh my gosh, it's Krypto. Wolfie, it's you. He's passed out. I have my dog Wolfie. He cosplays with me as Krypto because, you know, gotta have a little friend. Yay, Krypto's there. So he was roaming the stars for years, but now he had returned. Why, unless he sensed what the rest of us had, despite our welcoming hugs, his arrival struck an ominous note. I think we all felt we had got out of the city just in time. Where is he? Why doesn't that caped coward come out and die like a man? Subject identified. Reference Kryptonite man. We were not alone in our decision to come here. Superman has apparently fled to the Arctic Circle. The Kryptonite man, while intellectually limited, provides an ideal assassination weapon. This remodeled ship, though inferior to my original sentient craft, will provide speedier transport to the north than whatever vehicle he arrived in. I propose we take him with us. You have no objections? Very good. Then we shall proceed. Even though it was deathly silent in the fortress at the top of the world, if you listened hard, you could almost hear the vultures gathering. Oh, it gets good, you guys. He prepared a meal for us, and it was time for bed. He showed us all to the guest quarters and looked sad as he led Perry and Alice to separate rooms. I couldn't sleep, so I knocked on the door of Lana's room, which was next to mine. Over the years, we had been rivals, uneasy friends, and finally, strangers. That night, none of it mattered. We both loved him. We both were scared that he was going to die, And after we put that into words, we both cried and held each other as we fell asleep. As for Superman, well, I guess he must have felt restless too, but in a different way. I mean, we all had trouble getting to sleep, but he didn't need to sleep at all. Well, he's Superman. I guess he doesn't really need to sleep per se, right? So him and Krypto. So I thought this was Supergirl at first, but just for clarification, it's actually a monument to Supergirl, because Supergirl, in the events of Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths, she dies, right? She dies to save the multiverse, just as Flash also sacrifices himself. Sorry, spoiler alert to 1985. But there's a monument at the Fortress of Solitude to Supergirl as a result, right? So he's there with Krypto. I'm glad you came back, Krypto. You're a piece of my life, you know that? Ruff. I don't know. I feel as if all the pieces of my life are finally coming together. Ruff, 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 ruff. You know what? I mean, animals get these feelings too, you know? When they know, they know. You know, it's true too. Like, animals can sense things on those, like, different levels, right? And Krypto is no different. What is it? What's the matter? Is something ruff, ruff, ruff? And then there's a big portal that seems to open. And then the Legion? Greetings from the 30th century, Superman. We hope you don't mind us dropping in like this, but we thought you might appreciate the sight of a few friendly faces. Kara, it's me. Haha, I came through the portal from the 30th century. Welcome. Hello, Cal. I was visiting the Legion in the 30th century when they announced they were coming back to see you, here, in my future. Well, haven't you got a hug for your cousin? Of course. It's such a surprise. It must be. I bet I'm a grown-up superwoman in this time zone. Is it cheating if you tell me whether I grew up to be pretty? You grew up to be beautiful, Kara. Come on, let's go this way, where the light's better. Away from the monument, right? Hello, Krypto. Hello, boy. I hope you and Streaky aren't still scrapping all the time. Streaky is Supergirl's cat, right? It's like, she's a Virgo. I feel like Virgos have cats. Something to do. A lot of my girlfriends all had kids. I had a cat too growing up, actually. His name was Oreo. He actually died this year at 19. Rest in peace, Oreo. Love you, buddy. Yeah. Okay. Superman, could I have a word? Yes. Of course, Brainiac. Superman, we wanted to present you with this on behalf of Brainiac. What's the meaning of this? You know Supergirl is dead in this era. You're from the future. This is history to you. I'm sorry. She insisted on coming. I realize how distressing this must be. Well, I doubt it. You talk calmly to us all the while knowing our death dates as ancient history. How can you do it? Superman, you are being unfair. In your past, as Superboy, you have seen some of our future. Would you tell us if you knew of some unavoidable doom awaiting us? No, you're right. Oh, R.I.P. Oreo. Oh, thank you, Sergeant Big Sexy. Thank you for that. My little Oreo. You know, like the Rainbow Bridge, right? Where all of our furry friends go, right? They're more than pets, for sure. And even in this case, too, right? I love Krypto. And I think in Crisis, too, Crisis on Infinite Earths, Marv Wolfman explained that part of the reason why they killed Supergirl was that they wanted to have Superman be the last son of Krypton, right? The last sole survivor of an entire planet. And I guess on some degree that makes sense, but then there's all this mythology behind Krypton as well, that now, like, as we've kind of expanded the multiverse and our concept as what it means to have different energies hold the mantle, because the way they explain it here, that this version of Superman is actually like Superboy grown up. So that's interesting to note. And also, like, how does Kara make it to the 30th century if she's not alive in this timeline? I think that there's like a time travel warp thing. So need to map that, I think, a little bit. Okay. Where are we? No, you're right. So Superman gets mad because he, of course, is still upset about the fact that he lost his cousin and his only family, only connection. And that's why he feels so connected to the fact that Krypto came back, right? Because it's good to, like, how healing our doggies are, right? Fukyo Opinions, fun name. My background is, I'm from Krypton. But no, actually, my dad is South African. But like my mix on that end is like my granny is Dutch. My granny is awesome too, by the way. When I go to Winnipeg, I need to do a little interview with her. She's 96 years old and she's like the bomb.com. So she's from the Netherlands. She's Dutch, but like my dad's from South Africa and my mom's Filipino. So then I came and I was born in the prairies. So that Canadiana thing going on too. Okay. No, you're right. Forgive me, Brainiac. I'm just under pressure at the moment. Of course. Now, let me give you this on behalf of the Legion. It's the reason we came to this period. Well, thank you, but why did you choose this particular date to present it to me? Because timing is everything, right? So divination, like when you choose to watch a certain movie, right? When you choose to rewatch a certain movie, when you choose to read a book, a story, watching this live, there's all these moments in time where nothing's by accident or coincidence. It's at the time that it is supposed to be, right? Like I have this saying, like, you're never really late, right? You're at the time that you should be for whatever you are in at the moment, right? And it's just kind of like this feeling of being in flow. And I feel that that's what deja vu is sometimes, when you feel that feeling of like, oh, wait a minute, I've done this before, right? Or I've dreamt this, I've been here before. So all those moments, to just kind of like recognize them more as we move into an age where all of those higher levels of awareness are going to be more accessible to us. At least that's what I think. Okay. So it's funny too, because this trophy they present him, to me it looks like a little mushy, but we'll see. You'll see what it actually is in a bit. Okay, why did you choose this particular date to present it to me? Well, because our histories mark this date as a special time in your life. Therefore, we came here to meet you again and salute you and pay your last respects. Is that it? Cousin? I just thought of something. As the Supergirl of this era, am I away visiting another time period or something? Because I thought you couldn't materialize in an era where you already existed. Yes. Yes, you're right about that, Kara. Right now, Supergirl is in the past. Perhaps we'd best return you to our 30th century to prevent any problems should this era's Supergirl return unexpectedly. Well, guess so. Give my regards when I return. from the past. Goodbye, Superman. We always miss you. Brainiac, can we go? My eyes are watering. It must be some 20th century virus. He never told me exactly what happened that night before the siege began, but as soon as I saw him the next morning, I knew something had upset him. He looked funny. He looked as if he'd been crying. Oh, Superman, because he saw Kara again. And just, it brings back all the hurt all over again. And so, but you got Krypto there, buddy. No worries. And now, goodbye, Superman. We'll miss you. So now I'm going to read the conclusion. Let's go, guys. More coffee, Tim? Interviews always make me so dry. What with me doing all the talking. You must be very bored. Oh, no, it's just what the planet's Memorial Edition needs. I'm just checking where we got to. Superman's old enemies had started returning with a vengeance, and he'd taken everyone to the fortress for safety. That's right. Me, Lana, Jimmy, Perry, and Alice White, all his friends. We're all, say, is that coffee I smell brewing through here? Ha ha! Best darn nose for coffee in the whole of Pittsdale. You'll have to fix it yourself, hun. I'm busy being a celebrity. Tim, this is my husband, Jordan. Jordy, this is Tim Crane from the planet. Oh, hi. I hope you don't mind me interviewing your wife about her ex? Nah, I can live with it. He wasn't nothing special. Us ordinary working slobs, son, we're the real heroes. Now, Jordy, don't you get started on that. You just fix your coffee. Go and check that Jonathan's still asleep. Where had I got to, Tim? You were all up in the Arctic with Superman. So Lois continues her story. This story is Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. It is a comic book. It's a story written in 1986 by Alan Moore, and it follows the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. So that's why Superman was getting all emotional about Supergirl visiting from the 30th century. It's like seeing a ghost. I think Krypto was in Titans. Ooh, I'm going to have to watch that just for Krypto. I have my own little movies I'm doing with my own Krypto too, guys. Stay tuned. If Wolfie will only listen to my commands more. Okay. That's right. We stood on a balcony and watched as he destroyed the golden key. I think that's when we first realized that he was preparing for a siege. The siege of the Fortress of Solitude. Oh, wow. Superman's last stand. Whatever happened to the man of tomorrow? Ooh. All that day in the fortress, Perry and Alice kept bickering. Everybody was so tense. We were scared. We knew that something was bearing down on us, but we didn't know exactly what. Oh, yeah. And even if we had known, we wouldn't have felt any better. Assessment: the Kryptonian has gone to ground. I must consider our next move. What's to consider? I want my hands around his throat. I want to watch him turn green and die. You will do as I command, Kryptonite man. With Luthor's mind at my disposal, my intellect is supreme. I shall devise a plan, considering all eventual, I can't say that word right now. Possibilities. I'm going to say possibilities because I can't say that word right now. That's so crazy. Okay, let's continue on. All eventualities, Brainiac? There it is. Even that one? Alert. Probability of attack. 74.012%. Hold your fire, Luthor. We come as allies to join you, the assured and predestined slaughter of Superman. Have you forgotten the future, Luthor? Don't you remember the Legion of Supervillains? Wait. What's it? I don't know what that even says. Mact wait? And then, I'm scanning Luthor's mind. It's being dominated by something cold, emotionless. So remember, Brainiac took over Lex Luthor's head, right? And I remember him from Crisis, right? Like, as I said, he just determines probabilities of things, and that is how he makes decisions. Can make no moral choices, just kind of like, oh, this is my probability of success, that is what we're going to do. So combined with Lex Luthor's intelligence, so he's like, oh, great, I'm unstoppable. I'm scanning Luthor's mind. It's being dominated by something cold, emotionless on his head. Is that some sort of helmet, or Lex Luthor is now merely the vessel of Brainiac? Query, what manner of beings are you? We are Saturn Woman, Lightning Lord, and Cosmic King from the 30th century. Ooh, nice name, spies. According to legend, during these days, Superman met his greatest foe in a battle and was no more. Certain of victory, we've come to participate. Oh, totally Vulture-like, right? Like, we know based on the future that this means, like, he's gonna go away or, like, be defeated. So we're just gonna here to, like, revel in the spoils. Pathetic. His greatest foe? Of course. I shrunk Kandor. I was always his greatest foe. Query. Why should I permit you to share my victory? Because we're from the future. We know things. For example, it's said that during Superman's last days, all of Earth's champions flocked to help him. That is logical. This world's other superhumans are certain to interfere. I shall erect an impenetrable force screen immediately. For resisting my will, for destroying my body, for these affronts shall the Kryptonian know the revenge of Brainiac. You know what? For a computer guy, he kind of holds a grudge, you know? It seems like a very emotional thing to do there, Brainiac. Just saying. And none shall help him. When the fortress sensors registered Brainiac's force screen, we knew it had begun. Dun, dun, dun. There's the force screen. Always this creepy dome. I have that in my book too, where like the bad guys always erect a dome where like you have this view of reality that's not real, or like this like almost like a prison, and but like, oh no, it's for safety, but it's not. It's like got like ulterior motives, like Highlander 2, right? The dome, if you remember that. Even though Highlander 2 didn't really make sense in context of Highlander 1, I still loved it. I love all the Highlanders, by the way. Okay. The screen took the form of a giant bubble more than 2 miles across. Nothing could get in and nothing could get out. Around noon, the villains began firing on the fortress using weapons from Brainiac's ship. Superman destroyed most of the devices from long range using heat vision, but this force screen generator was too well shielded. During the afternoon, he took Krypto and attempted a frontal assault, but they were driven back by the Kryptonite man. His powers seemed to have increased tenfold. They couldn't even get near him. With twilight, other heroes began arriving outside the barrier. Those that were his friends. Those that were almost his rivals. Those that might have been his lovers. It didn't matter. None of them could penetrate it. So you have all of his friends there coming to try to penetrate the barrier that Brainiac put up. So you got Wonder Woman, Batman and Robin. I don't know who that guy is up there, but Shazam / Captain Marvel, all there trying to help Superman out, but none of them can break through the barrier that has been put up. Let's see here. As night fell, it seemed that a standoff had been declared, and there was a lull in the battle. We all knew it wouldn't last long. We figured we had at least until morning, so we decided to get some sleep. Or at least some of us did. Perry, are you still awake? I wondered if we could talk for a while. Well, sure. Come on in. I could use some conversation myself. Beats sitting here thinking about doom and divorce. I'm sorry. Being cooped up here must be a strain for you and Alice. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. We both got good reason to be at loggerheads, whatever that means, but, well, sitting here with death waiting outside makes me see things from a different perspective somehow. Me too. You? Yes, me, Perry. I'm scared. I think I'm going to die. And there's so much in my life that I have to get straight. Interesting comment, Superman. Like me and Lois. Like me and Lana. You see, I have messed up both of their lives, haven't I? They wasted their love on me while I couldn't let myself love either of them the way that they deserved. I wish I'd explained. I wish I hadn't been such a coward. Why is it that the noblest people are the ones most troubled by conscience? I don't know. But Superman and Perry weren't the only ones who couldn't sleep that night. Lana, what are you doing up here? Well, if that flask in your hands is what I think it is, I'm doing the same thing as you. I'm sick of sitting around. I want to help him. That's the Elastic Lad serum, isn't it? Yes. I knew he kept a sample in the trophy room annex, so I came to find it. All these years, they've called me Superman's friend. I figure here's where I start paying for the privilege. How about you? Elastic Man Serum by Jimmy. Interesting connection there to Mr. Fantastic Four. Also, I don't quite agree with that casting that they did for the new Fantastic Four with Pedro Pascal. I love Pedro Pascal, Mandalorian, Game of Thrones, but I don't know if he's Mr. Fantastic. Don't know. Okay. Where are we? The Elastic Lad Serum. I had the same idea. I remember years ago, there were times we gained superpowers temporarily. I remember there was the lake that Lois and I bathed in. Magic like water, probably unidentified radiation source. So there's this magic water that apparently gave Lana and Lois superpowers for a time. I need to find out that whole storyline from one of the worlds, right? Kind of cool, right? I do know too, Lana Lang, I read Superwoman. Because of red kryptonite, Lana Lang becomes Superwoman for a bit. That's a different story. Okay. Hey, look. There's a case of souvenir costumes. Then we're in luck. Turn your back, Red, while I take a quick dip. Oh, the feeling. I remember now. My skin tingling as it gets harder, my senses expanding, X-ray vision, microscopic vision. I need to make a bath like this. So Lana's taking this like magic water bath and it's giving her like all these superpowers. Need to find that. Fortress of Solitude magic bath. We are already in the north right now, so maybe. Okay. Super hearing. You see, back when I was Superboy, Lana was the only girl I loved. She still represents Smallville to me, that part of my life, and because of that, I could never cast her aside. But since I've grown and I've become a man, there's only ever been one woman for me. Lois. Beautiful Lois. I love her, Perry. Dear God, I love her so much. But I can't tell her without hurting Lana. I'd never hurt Lana, so I just walk around with this secret, this weight in my heart, and I'll carry it with me to the grave. So Lana overhears this, that he won't ever say he loves Lois because he doesn't want to hurt Lana. What an interesting thing to think, Superman. And neither of them will ever know. There. Are you ready yet, Lana? Lana, is anything wrong? Wrong? No. Why would anything be wrong? I'm ready now. Let's get out there, wreck that force screen, and get out of this mess. We're only second stringers, Jimmy, but we'll show them. I don't know, guys. You've had superpowers for literally 2 seconds, and you haven't tried it out yet. You're just gonna put yourself into danger. Okay, so they're out there. They're gonna go out there and try to penetrate that force field. Nobody loved him better than us. Nobody. So they go out there, having assumed that the Kryptonite man would keep Superman at a distance. What happened next took even Brainiac by surprise. He's attacking us. You'll what, you poisonous little crud? What are you going to do to someone who doesn't give a damn about Kryptonite? Brainiac, help me. Nobody's going to help you. Nobody's going to help any of you. Take out the generator, Jimmy, while I deal with their leader. Foolish woman, my victory is predetermined. You serve only to hasten your own doom. Luther, why are you talking like that? And on your head, what's... Lana, Brainiac, he's got me. Kill me, please. Luther, be silent. I command you. Lana, do it now, please. Do it now. And then Lana looks like she just slaps him, I think. But if you recall, Luther has a soft spot in his heart for Lana, right? He loves her a lot. So that's why he's able to kind of like poke through the whole Brainiac brain control thing. Okay. She killed the Luther Brainiac thing. How can we stop her? I'm scanning her mind. She received her power from bathing in some kind of radioactive pool. Then it's easy. I just use my transmutation abilities to turn the radioactive traces in her tissue to normal body salts. Oh, and suddenly there's nothing holding her up. Wow, that easy, huh? Taken a fall, my dear. Here, let me give you a helping hand. Oh no, Lana! You murdering scum, you killed her. You're too late. Your force screen's wrecked. You're finished. Ah, never. He's dead. But who do you suppose? I am Brainiac, reducer of candor, and his greatest foe. My victory is predetermined. Do you think that I would let the death of this body stand in its way? Oh, merciful Creator! Luther's nerves, his muscles, are intact. I can manipulate them, at least for long enough to ensure Superman's destruction. Brainiac? Something's wrong. If Olsen wrecked the generator, why hasn't the force screen collapsed? Analysis. You are correct. Earth's champions remain outside. Some unknown force maintains the shield. Perhaps it is destiny. In any eventuality, we must make use of it while this fluke situation endures. Prepare for a nuclear strike. Our final assault begins. Well, that's kind of messed up. You basically have a dead Lex Luthor being controlled by the Brainiac head. Like, kind of creepy. They're doing a final assault now on the siege of the Fortress of Solitude. The explosion, unbelievably, didn't bring down the whole fortress. It just punched an ugly, gaping hole in one side. But that was enough. We had been breached. The sleeping quarters were shielded by meters of solid rock. But the shock wave was like the worst earthquake you can imagine. Alice, look out! Oh! Perry, Alice, it doesn't matter. They're destroying the fortress, and I don't think we've got long left. I just want to tell you I'm sorry and that I'm always going to love you. I'll always love you. Perry, would you take me to my room? Perhaps we'll have time to make up for being so stupid. Time to secure the fortress, to plan our defense. Time was one thing that we needed. Time was the one thing we didn't have. Where is he? Come out, Kryptonian man. Your rat hole's been breached. You can't escape me now. And you see Krypto running towards him. I'm almost glad that I didn't manage to kill you when we were young. It makes this moment all the sweeter. Are you listening, Kryptonian? Can you hear your death bearing down on you? Well, I'm waiting for an... Huh? What's... And you see Krypto jumping in to attack. No! Ah, stop! Get it off! I'm killing you, you stupid animal. Don't you understand? I'm killing. Yeah! Sa! Snorf. Awoo! Pete Ross, Lana, Jimmy. Now, oh no, Krypto. Krypto sacrificed himself. I was saying, because I'm like, Krypto is Kryptonian too. So, it's like, oh, Krypto. Pete Ross, Lana, Jimmy. Now Krypto was gone as well. I was with Superman when he heard his pet's death howl. But we couldn't do anything. Oh. We had our own problems. Superman, what's happening? Where are Lana and the others? I don't know. Perry and Alice aren't hurt, but I can't see Lana or Jimmy anywhere. Maybe they fled. Or maybe they're dead. Ah! Ha 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 ha. Want to buy yourself some more time, Kryptonian? Why not throw me the woman so I can fry her the way I fried your other girlfriend? Lana? You hurt Lana? Ah, he burned me. He burned me. His mind, he isn't bluffing. He's prepared to kill. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. From our legends, I'd expected a quick victory, but this is dangerous. Let's get out of here. We know that Brainiac will win. There's no sense in getting hurt in the process. By the time we followed them outside, their bubble was already vanishing back to the 30th century. And there was only one foe left to face. Or maybe two. Analysis, stiffening of limbs, difficulty in movement, assessment, onset of rigor mortis. Rigor moths or mortis and host body imminent. So they're basically saying that this dead Lex Luthor body that Brainiac is controlling only has so much use left in him. Oh, thank you for the gift, Papa Bear. Appreciate that. We're almost done this read, you guys. It's, oh my gosh, maybe I'll finish this by 3 a.m. That would be magical. Wouldn't that be magical, Alan Moore? Okay. He's falling here, so I am predestined to destroy you. Lois, get back. He's falling. No, get up. Get up, Luthor. I will not be destroyed by your human weakness. Where is my kryptonite man? Why is my force screen still standing? I don't know. I don't care. I am coming for you, Kryptonian. My victory is inevitable. And it's creepy. It's just like the head now walking towards Superman. Kind of seems pathetic though. He's like, I am predestined to destroy you. But like, how exactly here? It's okay, Lois. I don't think he's in any condition to harm us. And then you can see him walking. It's super creepy. Oh, hey. How's it going? Oh my gosh, the light is very bright. Hey, Andrew. How's it going? Hello, everybody. We're just finishing up the read of Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, which is the 1986 story written by Alan Moore, who's also the creator of Watchmen and V for Vendetta, Swamp Thing. There is a crossover between Swamp Thing and Superman in this comic book as well, but we are finishing up his imaginary story, which follows the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Oh, no worries, we're getting to the best part though, my friends, and we will have a replay. I'm getting a lot. I've been all over the place recently because I've been doing a lot more editing work, and if you've ever sat in the editing suite, it always takes so much longer than you think when you sit down. And also, I get lost in like the asset management of things, but I have things organized now, so you should be able to get this replay by Wednesday. Tomorrow, I'm doing a Marvel comic book read though too, so stay tuned for that. Okay, where are we here? So Brainiac, basically, he's like to his last dying breath is trying to get Superman. The disintegrating collection of plates and circuits crawled a couple of inches, propelled by sheer malice, and then stopped working. Brainiac was dead. It was all over. Except that it couldn't be. Lois, I don't like this. There are too many loose ends. Why should all my enemies attack at once? Why is Brainiac's force screen still keeping our friends out? So there's a force screen preventing Superman's friends from giving him backup. So they're truly on their own there in the Fortress of Solitude. And then there's this statuette. The Legion visited last night and gave it to me. almost as if they were gifting me my own headstone as a gift. The whole 30th century seems certain that I'm finished. He lapsed into silence while I studied the statuette, a golden figure of Superman holding something familiar. Everything was still. The keening Arctic circle, or the Arctic wind, was being kept out by the force screen. He stood like that for about 4 or 5 minutes, silent and frowning, figuring something out. When he spoke, ever so softly, it still made me jump. And he's thinking here. And it's like it comes to him. Of course. Bizarro, the prankster, the toy man, Metallo, Brainiac, the Kryptonite man, the legion of supervillains. There's only one name missing, isn't there? I know you're there. I can't even say this. Mixed a lot of M, X, Y, Z, P, T, L, K. I don't know how you say that, you guys. He's a demon, basically. Come out and show yourself. Woomph. Ah. And there he is, like a little demon man. When the smoke finally cleared, he was just sitting there in the air. He looked different somehow. He didn't look funny anymore. So, you finally guessed. Greetings, Superman. Greetings from the 5th dimension. You were guiding all of this from behind the scenes, all of this killing and destruction? Why? In Rao's name, why? Don't be naive, Superman. I'm an immortal like everyone in the 5th dimension. The big problem with being immortal is filling your time. For example, I spent the first 2,000 years of existence doing absolutely nothing. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. Eventually, simple inertia became tiresome. So I spent the next 2,000 years being saintly and benign, doing only good deeds. Then that novelty began to fade, so I decided to be mischievous. Now, 2,000 years later, I'm bored. I need a change, starting with your death. I shall spend the next 2 millennia being evil. After that, who knows? Perhaps I'll try being guilty for a while. Did you honestly believe a 5th dimensional sorcerer would reassemble a funny little man in a derby hat? Would you really like to see how I really look? Superman, he's changing. Oh my gosh, we better get inside. Oh man, 5th dimensional being. I can't describe what I can't pronounce that name. Mitsupluk MX guy became. It had height, length, breadth, and a couple of other things. As he entered the fortress, I glanced back. It was following us. Looking at it made my head hurt. Why struggle? You know that there is no escape. Today you meet your greatest foe and shall be no more. Why? The whole 30th century knows it. He shouldn't have mentioned the 30th century. That was a mistake. Because remember, the 30th century seems to already know that Superman has died, right? So it's almost like they're saying, like, all of these events are preordained. And I think there's a fun little message here about destiny, about living out your story and having, fate play a part, but also still having choice, right? And a way of playing out. Oh my gosh, I love the sirens at that moment, right? Let's keep going. Okay. He shouldn't have mentioned the 30th century. That was a mistake. Reminded, I looked at the statuette in my hands. Lois, he's magical. I can't beat him. Run. I'll hold him off for as long as possible. He's, as a tribute, although they must have known how much it would disturb me. Exactly. So maybe they gave you it for another reason. Some kind of hint, maybe. Take another look at it, Superman. Look at what it's holding. And so you can see the statuette. When I first saw this, I thought that it looked like a mushroom, but and underneath it says Mr. or His Supreme Hour. Interesting titling on that. He looked at the golden figurine, at the golden device in its hands. His eyes narrowed ever so slightly. He knew. He knew what had to be done. This way, if we can only get to the chamber in time. The chamber, when we reached it, was as eerie and unpleasant as I remembered. From a screen at one end, pale men with murderous eyes mouthed obscenities at us. Time was running out. And then suddenly, it was all gone. Ah, there you are. Time to die, I think. That's right, Mxyzptlk. Time to die. He turned the Phantom Zone projector's single Cyclops eye staring from between his hands, finger moving towards its black button. Mxyzptlk had no means of escape, except for one. And then he says, I think his own name backwards. Clipserverma? Something. With the utterance of his reversed name, the creature's magic returned him to the 5th dimension, while at the same instant the ray sent him into the Phantom Zone. Takes care of you, buddy. That terrible scream. Is he torn in half? Between dimensions, he panicked when he saw the ray and made a fatal error, just as I knew he would. I killed him, Lois. I intended to kill him. I just couldn't risk letting anything that powerful and malignant survive, so I made up my mind, and I did it. I broke my oath. I killed him. But you had to. You haven't done anything wrong. Yes, I have. Nobody has the right to kill. Not Mxyzptlk, not you, not Superman. Especially not Superman. He turned and walked away in complete silence. I ran after him, calling his name. He didn't reply. And by the time I realized where he was heading, it was too late. And this is a gold kryptonite sample storage chamber. Keep out. As he walked into the blinding golden light, he turned and looked back over his shoulder, and he smiled at me. I never saw Superman again. So that's how Superman dies, right? Because the gold kryptonite is supposed to be said to take away all Superman's powers. With Mxyzptlk's destruction, the force screen His magic had been vanished, and the heroes outside were free to enter. You probably read about what they found. The wreckage in and around the fortress seemed to be strewn with bodies, those of his most bitter enemies, and those of his most loyal friends. I remember the Batman describing it like walking amongst the fragments of a legend. Death and destruction were everywhere. Almost everywhere. They found me outside the locked gold kryptonite chamber, weeping when Superwoman and Captain Marvel ripped the vault open. It was empty. He was gone. They discovered a hidden passageway leading out of the fortress, and it was finally concluded that he'd walked out powerless into the sub-zero wastes to freeze. They never found his body. More coffee, Tim? No, it's getting pretty late, and I think that the interview's almost through. So tell me, Miss Elliot, what do you think of the rumors that Superman is still alive somewhere? Well, I'm sure a lot of people would like to believe that, but as far as I'm concerned, Superman died in the Arctic. I was there. Of course. I'm sorry if that last question was tactless. You just hear a lot of talk. I guess it's the same as with Jim Morrison or Bruce Lee. Oh my gosh, it's crazy that you mentioned those two guys. I love both Jim Morrison and Bruce Lee. It's funny too because Bruce Lee's wife, her name was Linda, right? Linda Lee. And Linda Lee is Supergirl, is one of her alter egos. So just an interesting connection there. I guess it's the same as Jim Morrison or Bruce Lee. All those old rumors. Here's Johnny. What? Oh, Jonathan, you're awake. Have you got a kiss for Mommy? Bye. Well, listen, I gotta be going. I'll send you a copy of the interview once I've transcribed it. Well, if you get time, I know what it's like. Give my love to the planet. I will. Thanks for everything, Miss Elliot. You too, Mr. Elliot. I'll be in touch. Bye, fella. Nice meeting you. Da! So, the interviewer goes by, and like it's just Lois and her hubby. While he's gone, I guess the media won't be bothering us for another 10 years now. Well, let's hope so. Down you go, Jonathan. You go play for a while. So, how was work today? Great. Old Dan Hodge brought in some snapshots of his grandchildren, and we're working on his old 48 Buick at the moment, trying to get her working. She's beautiful. You really love it, don't you? Just going to work every day, taking out the garbage, changing Jonathan's diapers. All this normal stuff. Yep, can't beat it. Although, maybe I could live without the diapers. You know, you were pretty hard on Superman earlier. Superman, he was overrated and too wrapped up in himself. He thought the world couldn't get along without him. What's for dinner? And so you can see in the background, the baby Jonathan, he's turning coal into diamonds with his pressure of his hands, right? That's a tell. Pizza. After that, if Jonathan's quiet, I thought maybe bed with a bottle of wine. And after that, I figure we just live happily ever after. Sound good to you? Lois, my love, what do you think? The end. Wink. Because if you think of his name's Jordan Elliott. So there's a code in there of like Jor-El kind of thing. So yeah, so Superman's not dead, right? He just went to go live a normal life with his lady love and have babies, right? So I hope you love that story. I sure did. Alan Moore's little story about whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. And of course, Alan Moore being Alan Moore, the next story in this comic book is Superman and Swamp Thing. So I will read that probably later on this week. There's also a nice story here, which actually does a lot of stuff with Krypton, which I will read you guys as well. Which is, where are we? I think you guys may have read it, For the Man Who Has Everything. And in this comic, it actually is revealed when Superman's birthday is, right? That it's Leap Day. And then the fact that Clark Kent celebrates his birthday a separate day. Because there's like an astrologer who's just like, wait a minute, I can tell that your birthday is not the same as Superman's or something. Or like is... Anyways, there's something about that. But what I do like about this story is that it talks a lot about Krypton and the society of Krypton and things like that. That would be a kind of cool show, right? To get into, because I've been doing a lot of looking into Krypton just because I have a big crush on Dick Grayson, Nightwing. And Nightwing is actually an old Kryptonian god, right? So he's the son... He is the son of Rao. Rao is the red sun god of Krypton. That's why you hear Superman go like, great Rao and such like that, because it has its own pantheon. And I found out that Kara, like Kara Zor-El, is also a Kryptonian goddess of love and beauty, so an equivalent to Venus. So that's kind of interesting in terms of cosmology. And I think just important to note that all of these comic books are more of a way of encoding a way of speaking about inner worlds, etheric realms, the ineffable, right? It's hard to talk about, so that's why you have to tell whole stories and build fantastical worlds in order to better communicate that. And so as we are like hurtling towards, us, being more enlightened, being more aware, being like heightened senses and raising in vibration as a whole species, it's kind of like an awareness of how many of these stories, although they're imaginary, like how Alan Moore opened that story in Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, which is, this is an imaginary story, but aren't they all? And just because things are imaginary does not mean that they're not true, right? So I think that there's something there in terms of us on an individual level looking to empower more of our imagination worlds. I am not going to read you Promethea tonight. That's going to be later, but tomorrow what I have planned, thanks you guys for joining. I have there's a little ghost, but I can't see any name around it. I love that. Oh, no problem, Stephen. Okay, so tomorrow, what I have planned... Oh, hey me. Oh my gosh. What we're going to do tomorrow is Jean Grey is back. So we're going to do some fun stuff with Jean, Phoenix Force, Miss Captain America, and Psylocke. So I don't know in what order and in what way these ladies are going to play with each other, but the read tomorrow is Marvel versus X-Men. Marvel versus X-Men. X-Men versus Avengers. That's what I meant to say. And it's like, I feel like the X-Men tend to like get into altercations a lot. Like they were fighting the Eternals and they're fighting the Avengers. But I feel like there's a lot in X-Men that one of the main things that I like about X-Men is this concept of like how the powers are encoded in your genetic code. And as I told you guys, a lot of like this live stream is about looking at imagination, comic books, astro, all of these different stories, these sacred stories that we tell ourselves internally and others as a way of understanding reality and interpreting, remembering who we are, what our soul mission is, and the very special place that we are meant to play on this planet, the greatest stage in all the cosmos, the way I like to call it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this read. I sure did. Alan Moore's Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, the follow-up to Crisis on Infinite Earths. And my battery power is starting to die. I hope you guys join me. Please give me a follow on, I have in my link tree where you can get either a superhero reading with me where I look at your astro chart and I tell you what type of superhero and what kinds of gifts you are more than likely to experience, to come to fruition, to activate in this lifetime. But as well as I've got a fun, all the replays of all the comic books I'm organizing in a cosmic comic book library that you can get replays of after the fact. But the lives are the lives. I do that exclusively here with you guys. It's been a slice. Thanks so much for hanging out, being nerdy with me, and loving these characters as much as I do, and realizing that they find their life through you, and you are the magic that is in any of these magical stories, right? So I wish all of you guys the courage to be exactly who you are in this wonderful, beautiful, magical game of life, because the universe is counting on you. I'll catch you all tomorrow as Jean Grey. Until next time, guys, bye. Stay super.